fly away. It's the first time of today. To dream, believe. You are the strength, you're all I need.
Now we're all squared away. Hot Springs wins the toss, they defer, so we'll see the St. Joe Goats out on offense first. This highly anticipated matchup, this high-flying Goats offense against this tough-nosed Wise Guys defense, and already a good sign for Hot Springs. Right down the field goes the coverage team on the throw-off, and St. Joe essentially will start pretty much like a touchback. They'll have it 1st and 10 right at about their own 6-yard line, as we'll see Angelo Trujillo back on the field here. The resumed starting quarterback role back in week 2 coming out of halftime, and he has not looked back since. The most combined touchdowns in the league since starting, with a total of 30. Takes a snap in his end zone, rolls to his right, fires down the field, has a man with Washington, but just overthrown, incomplete.
That was actually a great throw there. Washington, I think, was concerned about the defender, but if he had just kept running, kind of just ignored the deep safety entirely, which I know is very difficult to do. I'm making that sound like it's super easy, but had he been able to pull that off and just kept running, that ball would have been right in stride.
Go to the ground this time, Jarius Burnett, and he does not have a lot of room. Maybe just gets back to the line of scrimmage or maybe a yard, but not a whole lot here. 3rd and long coming up.
Not a lot of defensive specialists in the world of arena football, but Hot Springs definitely among them.
One of the fewest amount of rushing yards allowed, and Trujillo's going to pile some good ones up here. He will go right into the wall. 1st down and then some for St. Joe.
And that's going to be the key. The Hot Springs Wise Guys specialize in sound, technique-driven defense. They don't give up a lot. It's going to be the speed of St. Joe and the ability to create versus a team that absolutely won't make mistakes on you. You're going to have to earn and create every yard you get. You're not going to get many freebies against this Hot Springs team.
And St. Joe, arguably the fastest team in the league. They go hurry up just about every down. Fake the give, bullet over the middle. There's Boo Smith. First catch for him, another 1st down. Inside the 15 of Hot Springs goes St. Joe.
And right now, even though it started off with a couple of good defensive plays from Hot Springs, the advantage looks to be with St. Joe, that speed and quickness.
Looking again, end zone, looking for the one-handed grab, and he comes down with it. Touchdown, Lorenzo Thompson, acrobatic as ever.
So there you go. I almost compared this to like an Ohio State-Iowa matchup in the Big Ten. You've got the team that's sound technique-wise, doesn't give up much on defense against the squad of high-end 5-star athletes that are just here to make big athletic plays. And right there, a big athletic play from one of the big-time athletes here from these St. Joe Goats, number 6, Lorenzo Thompson.
Big after quiet 2 weeks ago in the last game, just 2 catches for no yards. He gets the scoring started here, and laterally this, a live ball. It goes to Thompson. Burnett being taken down to the turf, just trying to keep that play alive, but the conversion will end up being no good. But once again, for St. Joe, Aaron, we were here 2 weeks ago. Everybody but Duluth and Ozark on the bye week over the 4th of July holiday weekend. So time for rest for both these teams. But we saw St. Joe in that offense really had their first full 4 quarters, very well executed game. 10 of 12 on all scoring drives in that game. Of course, the only 2 drives they didn't score and ended in turnovers, 1 fumble and 1 interception. But outside of that, they were nearly perfect, and they get out to a perfect start here. First drive, first touchdown.
And there's the other thing about that game is it actually opens up a pathway for the 1 seed. Had Duluth won that game, it would have erased St. Joseph's chances of still coming all the way. I mean, it would still take a bit of a miracle. But because Duluth lost, it actually still creates a path for St. Joseph to get the 1 seed heading into the playoffs. So for those of you that like to scoreboard watch and keep tabs on such things, that number 1 overall seed and a clean slate of home playoff games all the way to the championship, not off the table just yet.
Thompson off the touchdown reception will throw it down on the throw-off, taken in at the 5 and able to stumble his way past the 10. Keeping the play alive, DeWandrick Crockett, number 5 on the return for Hot Springs, as we will see their offense trot out onto the field for the first time. They're led by their dual-threat quarterback, Jordan Ambrose, 6'2", 228 pounds, out of Defiance College in Ohio. Arguably the best dual threat man in the league. Second in total rushing at 452 yards and passing at 706 with 19 total combined touchdowns, just behind Angelo Trujillo's 30 for St. Joe. No strangers in this offense, Aaron, for Hot Springs to keep it on the ground. Second in the league in total rushing yards.
Like I said, the Iowa comparison, very apt. Team that likes to be physical, likes to use size to their advantage.
And a little bit of improvising here, and Ambrose is going to make the most of it. He is a load to try to bring down. He is carrying Goats defenders to midfield, and on a play that looked like was going to be absolute disaster, ends up in a gain that takes him right near midfield.
Well, that's what size can do for you. It's hard to get them on the ground. They like to wear you down over time. They play in these grind them out, low-scoring games through most of the year, and then just hope that in that second half your defense is just going to grow tired of tackling their big fellas. But that doesn't mean they can't get after you in the first quarter of games.
It was Troy Evans that was in the backfield. Kind of hit him first. Ambrose caught it on the ricochet and took it for a gain of about 12. They caught him a couple yards shy of midfield. Now they'll be into Goats territory. First completion of the night finds Terrell Brown.
Yeah, just a quick hitter there. That hitch route. One of the staples of a lot of offenses throughout this Arena League is those quick 4-yard hitters and let athletes make plays in space. But St. Joseph has actually been really good all season about not allowing very much as far as yards after the catch.
Usually if you can find that recipe, 4 yards per play in this sport, doesn't matter what level, what profession, it's going to take you to a lot of good success. Back to the air for Ambrose. Over the middle, caught, hit right away, and they will call the play dead there. Jalen Jordan, the man to make the initial stop for St. Joe.
And Brown getting involved in back-to-back plays. Hot Springs, we keep hyping up their defense, talking about how sound they are on that side of the ball, but here's the offense coming out and telling everybody, hey, we're a 3-2 football team. We don't do it with just one side of the ball. Don't just stop talking about us. And obviously with a win here, they jump into the 2 seed, which would give you a first-round bye in that playoff. So you mentioned how big this is for both teams.
A lot on the line. Ambrose this time not going to get away from the pressure. Sandwiched by some Goats defenders, wrapping him up, Malik Wilson. And that's a big sack for the St. Joe defense. Now 13 total combined in the last about 9 quarters or so.
That's been a huge key to their defense this year. The turnovers haven't quite been there like they were last year, so the thing that they've been using to help them flip games and flip momentum defensively to get these stops has been pressure. And they hadn't really been getting it on those first 3 plays. The blocking up front for the Wise guys had been holding up, but right there, Malik Wilson, the speed rush move, got around his man. Big-time defensive play. 7
total sacks in the win 2 weeks ago against Eau Claire. Now scrambling again, Ambrose dumps it off to the safety valve, and Goats are there, wrapping up the big fella. He found it to Vincent Hobbs, 6'3", 240 out of East Texas A&M and University of Colorado, but nice job by the Goats defense there to wrap up. Now a 3rd and long.
I love that slant pressure coming from the Goats up front. When you've only got 3-man protection, it's hard to really communicate like you would in a typical 11-man game. And you bring some of these complex looks with your blitzes, it can really screw up the blocking scheme. And right there, they got 2 guys coming in clean, forced them to kind of run a jailbreak of a play.
2 downs to get to the 6 to keep this drive alive. Ambrose with time, now stepping up, he can run, and he will. Here goes Jordan Ambrose, who's tripped up well short of the line to gain. On to stop Jalen Knox, had a beautiful game 2 weeks ago here at home, and the dominant win against Eau Claire.
Now, based on how St. Joseph has fared this year defensively on those 4th and forevers, would you almost argue it was better to get this into a 4th and more normal here? Those 4th and 20s have been killing them. You know, 4th and 8, we'll take it at this point. It might be better. But that was just a case of Ambrose. Not much there. A stunt up front from the Goats defensively. The old Tampa Bay twist. And Ambrose stepped right through it, made something happen where there wasn't a whole lot going downfield.
Those trips over to the right side. Ambrose able to shake off Reynolds, flips it in over the hands of his man. Incomplete. Lou Dorsey, if he brings that in, he might score. Outside of picking up the 1st down, but the pressure from Mike Reynolds and company wrecking that play up, and now flags will fly here at the end as we might have some unsportsmanlike being handed out.
Yeah, I think that's going to be for throwing Ambrose's cleat after the play. You can't be doing that. And we'll see if this just backs up the Goats'
after
offense.
The play, unsportsmanlike, number 20.
So it will stay with the Goats, as it was after the play, as we assumed, for throwing the cleat. And that will be his first personal foul.
I believe it was 22. That was Mojo's Zweifel.
So Mike Reynolds makes a brilliant defensive play. He's made a number of those all season, Dylan. And then just an unfortunate, I mean, you can't really call it anything other than boneheaded decision there from Mojo, ripping off the cleat of Ambrose and then throwing it toward the bench. I mean, there's no level of football where that's going to be allowed.
I mean,
now we'll see if the offense can bail him out.
I mean, the only benefit of that is you didn't have a whole lot of yards to back up, but now taking a snap in his own end zone, a little shovel pass to Otis Odom. Look at him make some yardage happen.
Well, they got the yards back. Otis Odom, the penalty eraser. I mean, he brings the energy, listed at 5'5", 140 pounds, but he brings the juice.
Smith down the field. Incomplete.
That was just underthrown. Boo Smith, double coverage, but he did have the step. You lead him up the field. He was behind both defenders, but the ball just a little bit underthrown there.
We had Roderick Chapman and Zeno Hannibal both in coverage, and I believe it was Chapman that got his paw on that ball, and immediately, right as he was about at the Hot Springs 20, Smith put the hand up, and if you're Trujillo, you got the best receiver in the league, you might as well throw it down to him. Now a dump off short to Smith. He lowers the shoulder, and into the stands he goes. Ball gets swatted away. There's a free souvenir.
One of the benefits of getting those sideline seats here in the Arena League. You get to go home with that football. And a nice job on 2nd down and 10, erasing half of it.
Already second reception of the game. Now Williams, a little hook and ladder as he goes right back. I believe that was Odom out of the backfield who kind of Superman poses up against the wall. Very fitting, the new Superman out in theaters. And let's see if they're going to give him the yardage or not. Initially, it looks like it's going to be,
I think he was
they're
just
going to say 4th down.
Shy.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to the naked eye, but we'll see where they spot it, and it will be 4th down and 1 here, Dylan. And they've got their scat back, not exactly their power back on the field.
Basically 4th and inches, smart play there. Quick shiftiness of Odom pushed into the wall, and Otis Odom, this is becoming the Odom drive right now.
Yeah, he's been making a couple of plays, and I just mentioned they didn't have their power back in. They had Odom. Must have heard me, felt disrespected. They go right to him in some space. Easily gets that 1st down.
And now right in midfield, Trujillo will take the snap. Pressure coming, lobs it, looking for Washington.
Oh, he got it.
He's got it. Over the wall he goes, still able to hang on. Touchdown, St. Joe.
That is now both touchdowns scored today. That we talked about that technique versus athleticism battle. And right now, it's 2 amazing athletic plays that have gotten St. Joseph in the end zone. Both times the coverage has been good, Dylan. The Wise guys have been perfectly in position. They played it well, and then a St. Joe receiver just made a superhuman play.
Unbelievable catch for Washington, his 2nd week here on the active roster. And now a fire to the back of the end zone, and the conversion is good.
These wide receivers are eating down there, Dylan, and somehow very little of it has been the reigning league MVP, Boo Smith. They've been going to the new names here tonight. Lorenzo Thompson, Demarius Washington going up high, looking like DeAndre Hopkins down there. And now some free footballs being handed out to some fans in attendance.
No doubt about it. Demarius Washington, 6'5", 195 pounds, out of Dallas, Texas. He made his debut with the Goats last week, 6 receptions, 36 yards and no touchdowns 2 weeks ago, I should say, the last home game for St. Joe coming out of the bye week over the holiday weekend. And, you know, he's had time in the around professional football, most recently with the Salina Liberty, where he caught passes from former Goats quarterback Rakeem Cato this past season. He made his way here up to St. Joe, and he has provided some more height and size to this receiving core. And like you mentioned, Aaron, a lot of it was Boo Smith last year, and I think that might have been the focus coming up from Kansas City to St. Joe this year is like, we love having Boo Smith. He's great. Ryan Martinez, you can hand the ball, throw him the ball too, but it'd be nice to add another weapon or two. And I feel like now with Lorenzo Thompson, they had that, and now you have him and Washington both. I mean, there's a reason why this offense has really been clicking over the last 2 or 3 games as they start this game perfect, 2 for 2, going for touchdowns.
Not an
Vision into the
ideal
ball again.
Not an ideal throw off there. A little bit too much of a line drive.
It's 2 touchdowns. The last drive for Hot Springs ended with the turnover on downs. So they were getting close to scoring range, and now Ambrose pressured here, and another, not going to be a sack as he was able to get it out at the last second. Heads up play there. He finds Lou Dorsey again.
The boy from Illinois, over in my original neck of the woods, went to the University of Illinois. Great play by Ambrose in the backfield, totally wrapped up. Looked like St. Joseph brought yet another well-timed, well-disguised blitz that they didn't have an answer to until the answer just became Ambrose making a superhuman play.
This time they crash in on Ambrose, not going to let him run. Clarence Taylor the third. And going to have some words with Kyle Lester, the lineman for Hot Springs, who took some exception there to the end of Taylor holding on to that leg after a second or two after the whistle was blown. But
yeah, I mean, not many linemen are going to be too terribly thrilled about you finishing with a single leg takedown on their quarterback.
And not too many going to be really that polite about it, I would think, either.
No, I think maybe Taylor just kind of explained himself after that is the only thing I can imagine. But
probably a stern first and final warning, I would imagine.
Well, either way, it's going to bring up 3rd and long here.
Loss on the play, 3rd and 10. Ambrose looking to go back to the air. Down the field he goes. Has a man, and over the wall he goes. My goodness. Back in coverage, Ryan Martinez for St. Joe, and all our attention now turns to the receiver for Hot Springs. Is he okay? And he is. Aaron Dilworth. He hops back over the wall. Leading receiver, 232 yards and 9 touchdowns this year for Hot Springs. Thankful to see him get back over the wall. He took a tumble head over heels.
Yeah, and he's kind of one of those modern styles that receivers like to use. He doesn't go knee pads, which normally is just fine on the turf. But then you'd end up taking a, like you said, head down, feet up tumble right over that wall and end up over on the concrete, suddenly maybe wishing the knee pads were in place as he came up a bit gimpy.
Hot Springs not going to surrender here. They're going to go for it. 4th and 10. They need to get to the other 20. Down the field. How about more? Touchdown, Hot Springs.
That was just a busted play, too. That was just a scramble drill all the way. The original play was an out and up as they were looking to get that one to Terrell Brown. He ran the out, he ran the up, then he turned it into a comeback. His quarterback was scrambling around. They had a crosser going to Aaron Dilworth again, but after the last one, I don't think they were going to try to throw that one twice in a row. And then finally, just kind of improvising, and Terrell Brown heads to the post. Ambrose hit him perfectly. A great throw, by the way, from a sidearm position. And Hot Springs desperately needed that one.
Yes.
And again, 4th down and long. Been a problem for this St. Joe defense.
They go over the top, do the wise guys, and they score. Now looking for the 2-point try. Bat it down. Zip block tight defense from Jalen Knox. So it just stays 6 points up on the board. 7-point ball game, 13-6 between the Goats and the wise guys. And that brings us to the point we were talking about before that drive started of you never want to say the term, you got to have it here, a must-score drive, especially, first quarter in a game. There's still plenty of time, as always. This game can still go one way or the other, but you felt like all the momentum was on St. Joe's side. You got to have a score there, some kind of response if you were Hot Springs. And on 4th and 10, you're in your own territory. You had to get to the Goats 20, and it said they go down the field 30 yards exactly on the dot to Terrell Brown, who's already now 3 receptions in this game, 42 yards and a touchdown. Makes things a little bit more interesting here.
And now it's going to be up to that explosive St. Joe offense. They have been steamrolling over the Wise Guys' vaunted #1 ranked league defense. Can the Wise Guys defense come up clutch in this moment? This will be an interesting drive to observe.
Odom back to receive on the throw off for St. Joe in the air. He'll take it at about the 2. Big lane, able to break through and using the speed. Odom, great return. Past the 20 he goes. They'll mark him at the 22. Another great return for Otis Odom. He's been doing it all season long on the throw-off return.
Otis Odom, as you mentioned, one of the quicker, more explosive guys. You give him that one lane. Normally you think of quick, speedy guys like that. You kind of think of the highlight reel, almost Dante Hall-esque, cut back, juke, making 1,000 moves. He really is more of a one-cut runner, though, for his size. He's got that good vision. He finds a hole, and he explodes through it.
Oh, how about that for Trujillo? One play. That's all they need. Boo Smith, his first of the night.
Well, now they found number one. We talked earlier that it hadn't been a whole lot of Boo Smith to this point. They got him involved there. It was man coverage down the field, and you don't want to play too much one-on-one against the St. Joseph Goats because Boo Smith wins almost every single time.
They came with the pressure. Trujillo able to get around it, and you live by the sword, you die by the sword too. He finds Boo Smith for 6. And now another missile. Again, it's Thompson. And St. Joe a perfect 3 for 3 to start this game. This offense white hot.
Now, you and I talked about it off camera in the pregame, Dylan, what this matchup was going to look like from the perspective of Hot Springs comes in. They're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, just as far as muscle mass out there on the field team in this league. They rely on that grinded out physical style of play, beat you in the fourth quarter. St. Joe, they might be the fastest team in the league. I mean, this was truly the ultimate battle of styles. And in a sport like arena football, with the rules being what they were, I thought this was a huge matchup advantage for St. Joseph. Even though the Wise Guys came in with that one-game advantage over St. Joe, I thought just in a head-to-head style battle, no matter how they match up with other teams, against each other, I thought St. Joseph was going to have a big advantage, and right now that's exactly what it's looking like. The Wise Guys just have no answers for the just sheer athleticism that St. Joseph has brought to this field.
It's starting to look like the Goats offense from last season that was tops in the league in every statistical category after their slow, sluggish start. They are looking back to prime form, and now a return out of the end zone, trying to get past his 5. And again, great job by the throw-off coverage team getting down the field for St. Joe. Malik Wilson, John Gregory making his Goats debut tonight as Gregory, and many others in on the stop. And the return was from Jordan Smith, 6'1", 210 out of Oklahoma Panhandle State University. Back against the wall.
Kind of enjoyed down the field too, watching on that play. Oscar Scott from the Goats and Darren Lavitt really finishing that play strong. They end up getting into each other's pads. Good physical play up the field. Way off of the point of where the action was going on, but both of them end up heading to the ground. They both hopped up, almost looking really aggressive like they were going to get into it, and then just both dapped each other up and patted the helmet and on to the next play. Pair of big physical guys.
No shortage of that in this league.
Just loving football.
Ambrose again from his own end zone, pressured by Wilson, dumps it off, first down and more. Look at the big fellow rumble as he's gets his legs cut out from underneath him. Vincent Hobbs, his second catch of the ball game.
You want to talk about big physical guys listed at 240 pounds, big 6'3". They've got him on the roster as a wide receiver tight end. He doesn't play a whole lot of wide receiver.
Yeah.
Good traditional Y tight end. They leave him in to block a lot.
This time, Brown. Quick hitter there for Hot Springs.
A lot of the fans around this area not too fond of wide receivers wearing that number with that last name around these right about now.
A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles, that's your reference there.
And right now he's been the Hot Springs' #1 offensive option.
So far, team leading 4th reception. Hobbs, the only other one with 2, and Dorsey with 1. Ambrose with time, now starting to run out of it, and he'll throw it away. Nice catch by a fan in the stands.
That was great coverage down the field, but also really, really good pursuit from the defensive front. Obviously, they weren't getting in Ambrose's face, but that's what you want to do against a guy with the rushing ability of a Jordan Ambrose. Neither of them broke their contain lane. They kept him in front of him. They said, "You're not stepping up. You're throwing from right where you are."
Joseph, Missouri, a couple of weeks away from welcoming the world champion Kansas City Chiefs into training camp. And now more pressure again, and this has been the big takeaway, like you mentioned, Aaron, not letting the dual threat of Jordan Ambrose really be a factor. This defensive pressure from St. Joe, it's been phenomenal.
They've been incredible up front. It's only, I believe, the second actual sack of the ball game to this point. It might be the third. But either way, even when they're not getting home and getting the official sacks on the stat sheet, they have been incredible at just the classic do your job. They're beating Hot Springs at their own game right now in keeping their contains, not making any mistakes up front.
So another
mistakes like calling the Kansas City Chiefs the reigning world champions, Dylan.
they're world champion class. Oh my goodness, and there's a fight breaking out over on the Hot Springs sideline. Now a 4th and 12 play. Gotta have it here. Oh, my coverage, but it goes incomplete. Ambrose throwing out of pressure again. And if it was just a little closer, without a doubt, Vincent Hobbs takes that, and it's another touchdown given up on 4th and long. But meanwhile, over there on the Wise Guys bench, what could be happening over there? A full-out brawl breaking out.
Yeah, I was trying to get some numbers, and I couldn't see who it was involved with it, but now teammates having to be separated on the Wise Guys bench. And like you mentioned, it was looking like it was going to be another blown 4th down and long coverage for the Goats defense, and they caught a massive break. A clean overthrow. Vincent Hobbs, I mean, he's doing a touchdown dance in our end zone right now if that ball's on the money. And you want to talk about coming apart at the seams right now for Hot Springs.
This is not a good sign. Down to the ground goes for St. Joe and Jarius Burnett, and getting minimal yardage there. Whistle's blowing as we'll slow things down here.
Yeah, the Goats trying to argue that Hot Springs.
So a timeout for Hot Springs is going to be taken here. And
they were trying to argue that Hot Springs didn't quite get their extra man off the field in time, but I believe they snapped that ball with 6 guys on the field. So it wasn't an extra guy that was over in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah.
He was the 7th man. He was just chilling over by his teammates for some reason.
Yep. I mean, and that's going to be kind of the story for me as this game continues to go along, because we've seen tempers flare and passion spill over a little bit in the field of play, usually against a player or somebody that's got the opposite colored jersey as you in the game, but we have never seen a full friendly fire in the own bench area. A little bit of a scuffle going on here. Don't want to show signs of, like you kind of mentioned, falling apart early. There's still plenty of ball game left here, but Goats knocking on the door of yet another touchdown, already up 20-6. Trujillo got to take this one himself. Gets a nice block from Burnett, takes it inside the 5 and is met and pushed backwards a yard or two. First down picked up nonetheless, but not before you paid the price for it there at the end.
Now, thankfully, Trujillo, a guy who last year was not the starting quarterback. He was a defensive back for this team, so a physical player.
Goal to go at the 4, and he'll look to throw again. Now coming back, got another nice block, and it's intercepted. A throw over the middle of the field and a blindside block. Running it all the way back, and Boo Smith will wrap him up before he gets to the St. Joe 10-yard line. That's Jordan Smith on the interception.
And I tell you what, I don't know if he was rattled from the last play or what, but I thought Trujillo had a running lane if he wanted to take it.
No doubt.
One guy miss and score. And you want to talk about just handing a plate of momentum back over when you had a chance to absolutely get the kill shot there. Hot Springs defense finally comes up with a stand. It's been the side of the ball that they've relied on for most of the year, and it might just be the side of the ball that gets them back into this football game.
11th total interception taken on the season for this Hot Springs team. And for Jordan Smith, his season debut, he was invited to training camp back in January. First game suiting up, and now he's got his first interception, and that's got the Wise Guys in prime position as they overthrow to the end zone, intended for Aaron Dilworth. But yeah, like you mentioned, Aaron, everything that we saw from the brawl over at the bench and the turnover on downs, Goats were right there at the 4-yard line, goal to go. Looking to make it a 3-score game, and then for Angelo Trujillo, that interception just on a great return as well. Handing with a nice big bow wrapped up nicely for Hot Springs. A potential chance for them to get right back into this ball game.
And if the defense can make a stand, though, let's talk about the effort by Boo Smith on
No
the
doubt.
back end of that.
Reynolds, and a flag comes in. He feels like he was held, and he's still going to come around.
Oh,
he's going to get a piece of that sack. Ball comes loose. Whistles were blowing pretty quick.
I think he was up when he lost control of that ball, but
Ojo Sawaifel on the recovery. The flag is going to be holding. We do know that for a fact, but
so here's the question. There is video review in the Arena League here, Dylan. The question is going to be, do you think you've got a camera angle that you feel good enough about to bother challenging this, that he might have been up when he lost that football? There was a clear recovery by Mojo Zweifel. Mike Reynolds, though, you want to talk about high effort, was held on the play, came back and got the sack. And now it's 3rd down and long. Oh, he's thinking about throwing it. And he's going to say no.
So they declined the holding penalty. It was a loss on the play. So 3rd and 14. Mike Reynolds gets into the backfield. 3rd collective sack of the game for St. Joe. Should honestly have about 4. Ambrose has been a magician at times. He's looking to do it again here. And now the ball is loose. And again, the whistles blow early.
That one for sure. I'm fairly certain he was down.
I agree.
He lost that ball, but that looked painful going down there. Took one right to the knee.
And we got another flag, though, so this all could be for nothing,
Offense
and it
number
will
77, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul.
Yeah, and that was Reynolds forcing the holding penalty again. He has been a monster at times this year. We've had a couple of games on the call where Reynolds has been less called by us up here in the booth. But the games where he decides he's going to take over, I mean, he takes over.
He is a force of nature, no doubt about it. The former Kansas Jayhawk, he is really, to me, I go back to the second game here at home against the Iowa Woo. He really kind of found his second gear there. 3 total sacks, a scoop and score touchdown, and he has just been on fire ever since. Throw to the end zone. And, oh, did he catch it off the ricochet? He did. They say incomplete. So Troy Evans doing his best to plead the case that he caught it. In coverage, Jalen Knox. And I can say off the wall and falls down incomplete.
I like the concept there. They used motion to try to get a scissor route going down the field. You had a wheel from the inside guy and a post up top. Not a traditional scissor with the post in the corner, but the same general rub concept to get a guy on that far corner and, of course, toward the middle post. St. Joe, though, just didn't fall for it, didn't get bumped off by it, had the good coverage, and now these 4th and longs.
Trying to put the woes to bed here. This is essentially a 4th and 24. Ambrose going to the end zone, has a man, 3 blue jerseys. It goes incomplete.
Danger there is that they played it so well. They had 3 guys in front of the ball and they batted it. But because all 3 of them played it so well, the ball actually bounced and hit off the wall. And the only player still on his feet was the intended target, number 1, Aaron Dilworth, who was unable to get over there in time. But that could have been one of the more "are you kidding me" type moments of the year for St. Joseph.
At that point, you're just assuming that on any 4th and long play, if you're St. Joe, you're just cursed at this point. You did something and you would be cursed, but that ends up not being the case. But like you mentioned, though, how about the effort from the defense and for Boo Smith on the rundown on the interception to have that turnover not be too painful for St. Joe. Now, a little dump off here to Otis Odom. He versus past the Hot Springs 20 down to the 19.
So that goes down as at least a 6-point tackle from Boo Smith on the effort.
Trujillo this time will take off and run and not going to get too far. It looks like he's going to be about a yard short.
Decent chunk of change there, though.
Another dump off. Odom going to have to make a couple of guys miss, and I don't think he got it. Ball comes loose. Whistles will come in again as he could not slip free of Roderick Chapman, who was settled down and waiting for him.
And that is exactly what this Hot Springs defense is all about. They don't miss tackles.
Yeah, end up being a loss on a play, so about 4th and 2, and it goes awry. So 4 and out will go St. Joe here.
So there you have it. Another defensive stand here for Hot Springs as St. Joseph unable to again hit the killing blow. So perhaps a small shift in the power balance between the St. Joe offense and this Wise Guys defense.
First quarter for this offense of St. Joe, 3 for 3, 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. So far here in the second, 2 drives, no scores, 1 interception, and now that turnover on down. Continue to let the Wise Guys hang around in this one, and Hot Springs again a touchdown away from giving this ball game brand new breath. You start to feel a little bit of a lull start to sit in here with the fans inside the Civic Arena. 2 in motion. Ambrose surveying, now fires, looking for the big hitter down the field. He's got Hobbs, and he's incomplete. He had it once and twice, and then falling down to the turf, knocked it loose for a 3rd time.
They call that dirty defense, Dylan, and I love it. Ryan Martinez didn't look pretty. It wasn't one of those nice, clean, batted passes, hit a celebration afterwards. That was just battling with Hobbs the whole way. It was in his hands. Rip, claw, peel a finger back. Do what you got to do and get that ball out of his possession and get it onto that turf.
Emma, for Ryan Martinez, traditionally an offensive player. He's getting more defensive snaps here tonight, and he's been holding his own. Now a run up the middle, Troy Evans, and he's not going to get too far. Jalen Jordan there on the stop.
That was a good, clean form tackle from Jalen Jordan.
Agreed.
Open space, prevent a big gain, force the 3rd down, and we'll call it long, but here in the Arena League, we've certainly seen longer.
Oh, yeah. And 2 downs to get essentially 7-8 yards. Very doable. Now the St. Joe faithful starting to get loud, rally behind their defense, looking for a stop. Evans in motion, snap back to Ambrose, eyes down the field, finds Terrell Brown up against the wall, and he's got that 1st down yardage and a few more.
And we got a Goats player, and unfortunately, I think that's Clarence Taylor. He's still leaning on that wall right now. He's not feeling too great.
5th reception of the night for Terrell Brown, and for Clarence Taylor, who was kind of after the first couple of weeks of the season, was added to this roster. What a huge pickup he has been. He's going to stay in the game, even though maybe not quite 100%. Ambrose looking to run. Wilson wrapping him up, and still Ambrose, the big body, physical presence of Jordan Ambrose, able to carry Malik Wilson, and still makes that a very modest gain.
I loved on the back end the coverage from St. Joe, too. Communicated well, passed it off brilliantly. Outside receiver ran a little inside sit route. It's almost like you start to run a slant and then you just hitch it at about 5 yards and then a wheel underneath it. And St. Joe did so well, but then Ambrose just made something happen.
It was a design quarterback run, and it does not go far with Jalen Jordan in there again, Mike Reynolds, Jalen Knox as well. Collective stop for St. Joe, 3rd and short.
Love what we're seeing defensively from St. Joe tonight. Has not been the strength of their team like it was last year thus far this season. They've had their struggles, but here tonight looking good on this side of the ball. Now we'll see how they look on a 3rd down and short against a big running quarterback like Ambrose.
Under 4 to go until halftime. Pressure coming, breaking through Jordan. Ambrose able to step aside, but he's not going to get away. Jordan, Reynolds, Wilson, the trifecta with the sack.
Went down kind of hard, but clean. Nobody with an extra shove or anything. The pile just kind of falling over, and that's how they play it, is it? That was wildly excellent defense and pursuit and contain. Everything done well on that 3rd down and short, but now you got another play. You're going to have to do it. And we'll see if this Goats defense can make yet another big-time stand.
17 sacks in the last, closing in on 10 quarters of action for this St. Joe defense. They have just found a spark. A lot of credit to Mike Reynolds up front. He has been huge, and seen tonight Jalen Jordan, Malik Wilson, others able to get pressure on Ambrose, get him scrambling, and give Reynolds a chance to break free off his block and wrap him up. That's been huge. We knew that Ambrose was the big dual threat. Now over 500 rushing yards and over 800 passing yards total on the season. You knew the Goats were going to kind of have to find a way to contain him, and so far they've done that through about 2 quarters of action.
No Mike Reynolds on the field here, which is interesting.
The Weifel on the pressure this time, and it's batted down by Jordan. Another turnover on downs forced by this St. Joe defense. Their 4th of the night.
Great play by Jordan, but even if that pass had gotten past him, the coverage, he was looking for that little stick route to his tight end. I believe he was going there for Vincent Hobbs, and he was well covered just past the sticks. I don't think the pass would have been completed regardless. Man, St. Joseph, they have been working on that defense this week.
Yeah, and how about this recent snap? Just 1 of 6 for his last 7 attempts for Jordan Ambrose for a total of 10 yards. And the third turnover on downs forced. We have not had a score by either team here in the second half. Jarius Burnett trying to change that.
My
Big play.
goodness gracious, what a run.
Two-minute warning is coming up here. As Trujillo will get it away, had Jamal Williams, and drops in and out of his hands, incomplete. Pressure on the play for Hot Springs there from Darren Primes.
Would have been a negligible gain regardless, but obviously never fun when you have to drop that ball.
Trying to signal for the 2-minute timeout, but play resumes. Another good area for Jarius Burnett. He had a lane as he stretched down on that left side, and another first down picked up for Jarius Burnett.
Ceding a lot of his playing time at running back to Odom here tonight, and now that he's gotten his chance on this drive, he is making the most of it.
Inside the 5, he'll go. Making the most of it here, Jarius Burnett.
Love to see him grinding out here.
3 yards away. Fake it to him. Trujillo pressured, fires. Jamal Williams. This time he catches it. Touchdown, St. Joseph.
Now that's how you make up for a mistake. Dropped the 1-yard meaningless pass. Makes up for it with a touchdown. And there you finally go. There's the kill shot from this offense. Puts them up by 3 scores. Man, St. Joseph clearly understanding the stakes that were on the line here tonight, and they've come to play.
Conversion attempt, no good. Wide right as he was trying to hit Lorenzo Thompson. Just not quite on line from Trujillo. But finally, we were held at 20-6 ever since the end of the first quarter, and it took us under a minute here into this game. 20-point lead now as St. Joe. We've been waiting for that offense to kind of deliver that sucker punch to really put them good distance between themselves and Hot Springs again. How about Booth Smith? Oh, look at him. How about that for good tackle getting down on the coverage team on a throw off?
That's 2 now tonight where Booth Smith has shown that he's not a one-dimensional player.
No doubt about it.
He can go down there and lay the lumber.
We're very familiar with his defensive paralysis. We saw him in the second game at home last season when we were at Municipal in downtown Kansas City. He had 3 interceptions, all 3 for pick sixes against the Iowa Woo. And it was on his birthday of all days, too. He ended up making a lot of highlights on local news, including what you need to see today on KSHB 41. So we know he's just an all-well-rounded athlete, the kid out of Mizzou. Pressure again from Ambrose. He's been fleeing almost the whole night, but able to get away. And again, hard to bring down as he backpedals his way into a first down.
He's been fleeing most of the night, but he's also been turning a lot of them into that. He has been remarkable once he crosses that line of scrimmage.
And Hot Springs deferring after winning the toss, so they will get the ball to start the second half. So down 20, where things currently sit. Find a way to score this drive, hold St. Joe scoreless. Open up the second half with the score. Again, brand new ball game. Terrell Brown wrapped up immediately, brought down on the play.
That's going to run that clock, too. He didn't get the first, so they're going to have to burn a timeout.
I believe it should be the second timeout going to be taken here. No doubt about it.
Something that Hot Springs has not been known for this year.
Again, trying to take off and run and wrapping him up immediately. I believe that's got Mojo Sawifel in there on the stop.
I believe that was John Gregory who got him wrapped up.
Yep, John Gregory, number 21. Man making his season debut tonight for St. Joe. Going in for Raymond Boone, not on the active roster, the man in the secondary for St. Joe. And the third and event defense here.
I would say this is going to be short and then get some blockers in front, let somebody run and break a tackle.
Ambrose holding. It's going to be into the end zone. It goes off the video board. Oh, that video board here inside the Civic Arena. It has haunted both Goats players and opposing players alike, and that is how this first half will come to an end. 26-6, fairly low-scoring affair, but St. Joe in control for the majority. 20-point lead going into halftime. So we'll step aside. Riley Underwood and the crew red hot against the Axemen here at home, and They have picked up where they left off here, especially coming out of the bye week as the third quarter is officially underway, and a potential big return here into Goats territory is where Hot Springs is going to start this first drive. Aaron, can't ask for much better starting field position than that, coming out of the gates down 20 here in the second half.
Love the cutback there from DeWandrick Crockett. Read his blocks beautifully, really kind of drew the St. Joseph Goats into him on that far sideline, and then a full field cutback. Very effective in a 7-on-7 type environment and able to get it up across midfield. That's exactly what Hot Springs needed to come out here. Now the thing is going to be finishing. They haven't done a great job of that to this point in the game. St. Joseph has been stingy on their own side of that midfield.
Now it's about for Hot Springs' offense. Last game out 2 weeks ago, 57 points put up. You were held at just 6 in 2 quarters in the first half here. Ambrose, great pocket. Now will throw to the end zone, looking for the big shot, diving out, but it goes incomplete. He had all the time in the world, and he was surveying. It was going again for Terrell Brown, but he led him just a little too far.
Yeah, that was a one-man route entirely. On the near side, Aaron Dilworth just ran that little 4-yard hitch, and I mean, he just got out of the way, and he started pointing downfield. He said, no, go to Brown, and Terrell Brown just ran a straight seam route type of a go, and then was just one-on-one down the field trying to make a play against Jalen Knox. That was purely designed to try to hit a big play to their best receiver. Everyone else's job was just kind of to get out of the way.
Troy Evans, the man in motion on the near side. Ambrose backpedaling, closing in as the defender, and he does find Evans over the middle of the field at the Goats 19. He goes, you mentioned Aaron Dilworth. He was the leading receiver for as far as total yards coming into this game tonight, and last game out, 4 receptions, 4 touchdowns, 134 yards against Ozarks, and so far tonight, 0. Hasn't been looked at very often. Like you mentioned, it's been Terrell Brown, Troy Evans getting that last reception. You've had Hobbs, the tight end, with a couple, Dorsey with 1 reception, but outside of that, if it hasn't been Terrell Brown, it has been slip pickings.
Another great job early on in this drive by this St. Joe defense.
Trying to break free, does lunge forward close to the 15. They'll call him about a yard shy at the 16.
I am so impressed by the way that they have been able to contain Ambrose. We talked about it during the halftime break. The leading rusher amongst all quarterbacks across the league. One of the more dynamic athletes at the position in this league, and of course a big physical presence that can lower the shoulder, bring the boom, and St. Joseph has been ready for the boom all day.
No doubt. Just behind Brandon Mackey is Ambrose for total rushing yards in the entire league. Mackey at 591 coming into week 7. Ambrose at 252, by far the best for quarterbacks. The Gravedigger looking for another one. Reynolds still in pursuit. Ambrose to the end zone. Incomplete. Mike Reynolds draped on the back of Ambrose like the cape on Superman. Pressure all the way, the relentless motor. And it looks like Hot Springs will just surrender this ball.
He is just a game wrecker. I mean, they got the ball across midfield to begin that drive, and they just couldn't get anything going. Another great defensive stand by St. Joseph. You can tell they want to come back to this Civic Arena and play another football game later on this summer.
Oh, boy, can't you?
It's a great crowd we have here in the Civic Arena, too. I love the presence that St. Joseph has really brought to the Arena League this year.
What a move. Boo Smith, plenty of room. To the Hot Springs near 15-yard line. Quick shiftiness for the Missouri Tiger.
They call him Boo, and he was looking scary on that play. Made a couple of shifty moves. St. Joe in business once again. Oh, my goodness.
Shot to the end zone, and there you go. Ryan Martinez without a reception in that first half, and right away is targeted. And now a flag's going to come in here for the head coach for Hot Springs as he got right into the face of the white hat, and we'll see how they sort this out. But meanwhile, Ryan Martinez scores. That means Goats fans can celebrate with a discount at Little Caesars. A little promotional thing they have going on here. Always love to see that. Let's see what this penalty is after the touchdown.
That's going to be unsportsmanlike.
No doubt.
On the Hot Springs head coach, and another phenomenal play by a St. Joseph receiver down the field. We talked about how Trujillo has done such a good job spreading the ball out between his receivers, but the thing is, they've made it really easy to do that because no matter who he's thrown to, they've just made spectacular play after spectacular play. It's been unbelievable.
So off the unsportsmanlike on Coach Bones for Hot Springs. You got St. Joe will elect to go for it. Go for 2 from the 5-yard line. Trujillo rolling out to his left. Now going to peel back. Avoids the defender. Over the middle. Boo! Oh, you don't see him drop those too often.
Yeah, he is furious with himself. Great play by Trujillo. Hit the reigning league MVP in the chest. And that might be the problem is, you know, he forgot the old Little League fundamentals. Catch him with your hands, Boo. Catch it with your hands. Got in on the shoulder pads, and those shoulder pads, they're not soft and fleshy like the chest is. That thing will bounce that football right out of there.
Trujillo definitely, after peeling around, was able to initially avoid the pressure from Marthel Carter Jr. and was coming back into his rush lane in between the hashes, and he put a little extra mustard on that pass, no doubt about it. And Boo Smith, and just enough of it caught his shoulder pads, bounces out. One thing I know about Boo, though, and I'm sure you know it as well as every Goats fan has been watching along, knows that whenever he kind of makes a mistake like that, he usually, not too long after, he'll come back around at his next chance, and he makes a big play. So we'll wait and see what happens there. 32-6 now the score. St. Joe really starting to get a strangle grip on this ball game here. Not only leapfrog Hot Springs in the standings, and then they can go down to Arkansas next week with the win, pretty much sync up not only that home playoff game, but then be right into contention of maybe some home field advantage for the playoffs. Still a lot on the table for both of these teams, and as of right now, at this mark, 10:41 to play in the third quarter, it has been the Goats of St. Joe that have come out and have taken it. Hot Springs looking for an answer. On the return at his 5, able to break some tackles, wrapped up at the shoelaces and not going to get far. Jarius Burnett finishes it off on the return from Jordan Smith. Smith did have the lone interception early in this game, had a great return. And he's got the return there on the throw off. 1st and 10, just past the 5-yard line. Now you really feel like this has got to be some kind of answer. Some scores got to be put up here. You cannot end this drive without really having any points. Did we just have a referee doing the soldier boy on the field? I love it.
And here's the thing. The St. Joe Goats know that you're going to try to hit Brown. He's been the guy all day. Do the wise guys have a game plan to try to sneak someone else out there and beat St. Joseph with an unexpected way?
Who's it going to be? We'll see. Ambrose out of his hands quickly. Terrell Brown. Well, I mean,
gain of some minimal yardage there. But, I mean, they have been a little over-reliant on their big 2 playmakers right now. It's been Ambrose running, and it's been Brown when they go to the air. And St. Joseph is just ready for that right now. Might need to get into your bag of tricks and get creative.
And now it was kind of a little bit of confusion pre-snap. Now pressure comes for St. Joe. Throw over the middle, caught by Brown. And he fumbles the ball, and the whistles will come and say he was brought down at midfield. So Ryan Martinez will stop on the potential scoop and score return. And a big gainer here for Hot Springs.
Well, what do I know? I guess they're just going to keep feeding Brown regardless and just hope that even if St. Joe knows it's coming, well, they still have to stop it whether they know it's coming or not.
There's no better feeling in football when you run the same play and you give it to the same player and you know the defense knows who's going to get it and they still can't stop it. It's one of the best feelings. And really to the most success of the offense tonight, it has been just that, Ambrose to Brown. He's gone to Brown the first 2 plays. Now he'll pump it here and just dump it off to Hobbs, his safety valve. Avoids the sack, but it's going to be a big loss regardless. 5+ yards going to be backed up on this play. Bojo's the rifle in on the stop to hop Hobbs in his tracks, as well as John Gregory.
Yeah, and laid the boom with that second hit. And you talked about it, a major loss here for Hot Springs. Might have been better off just dropping that football, but I don't think he necessarily knew how well St. Joseph was covering behind him.
Always a little tougher in the heat of the moment to know I should just let this one fall, but definitely would have been better. You're looking at 2nd and 10 from midfield, and instead you back up about 8 yards on the loss. Now some early movement here and the play will be blown dead.
They were trying to get that trio's vertical combo going. They had Brown running the shallow cross, and a deep post up top by Dilworth. And then near side, it was a vertical from Troy Evans. So now St. Joseph has gotten a look at that play call. That's what they were looking to get for the big play.
Offense number 7. 5-yard penalty.
But a false start means that St. Joseph's now seen it once. And, I mean, heck, they kind of had it well covered anyway. And 3 men were in the backfield. So
4th penalty of the night for Hot Springs. Only 1 thus far for St. Joe. So even further, backed up, getting further and further from the initial line of scrimmage that was once in midfield. Now Ambrose will take this snap at his own 5, and pressure coming. Malik Wilson gets another sack. He's going to start claiming real estate in that backfield with how often he's been in there tonight.
This has just been wild. I mean, absolutely remarkable to watch from this St. Joseph pass rush. Last year, it was mostly the defensive backs that were doing most of the damage for the St. Joe defense. This year, I mean, they've completely flipped the identity of that defense around. And yet, to an extent, the defense has taken a step back. But when they have had big plays and risen to the occasion, it's been mostly that front. That defensive line has just played spectacularly. And here on 3rd down and the entire length of the field just about, no Mike Reynolds on the field, going with a finesse trio up front.
Gonna move the coverage back. Ambrose from his own end zone, waiting for something. Now fires down the field, 3-on-1 coverage, and
my
still
goodness.
coming down with it. Touchdown, Hot Springs, Aaron Dilworth. What a time for your first catch of the evening.
An ill-advised throw from start to finish, and one of the greatest catches we've seen, and we've seen a lot of great catches thus far on our broadcast this year. Aaron Dilworth, oh my goodness.
And again, those like 3rd and long, 4th and long type of scenarios for the St. Joe defense just continues to be their kryptonite.
Well, and you can't play it any better than that.
No, you can't. Good throw, good location, 3-on-1 coverage. It doesn't matter for Dilworth. He came down with it, high pointed it. Again, his first catch of the night, the leading receiver was held without a catch, very minimal targets in that first half, and he makes his presence known here in the 3rd. Much needed for Hot Springs, and now the conversion to go along with it. Back to Terrell Brown. Well, Aaron, at least on the big play, they didn't go to Terrell Brown. I think they finally found Dilworth. They dialed it up.
Yeah, well,
Number 1, it's the ball game. Done much better than getting that touchdown catch and 3-on-1 coverage, as this throw is going to go out of bounds into the Hot Springs bench. And
man, I'm not sure.
I can't tell if it was close enough, if somebody didn't reach over, if it was going to hit the top of the wall.
I think
or
it might have been on a trajectory to hit the top of the wall, and that would have forced St. Joseph to go try to play it. So maybe an ill-advised decision by a staffer there for Hot Springs to reach over the wall and grab it, because that'll give St. Joseph the ball at midfield.
like you mentioned, costly mistakes, so that set St. Joe up right at midfield. Again, it was a close play, but right now St. Joe trying to capitalize. Here's Ryan Martinez. Second catch of the game, all here in the second half. He had the big touchdown. He gets a good gain here. 5+ yards, call it 6.
That just leaked out into the flat. Just able to get the 8th man off the field in time was Hot Springs.
Trujillo throws backwards. Martinez, man on the spot again, as I thought Trujillo might just keep that and run as he got past the running lane, but threw it backwards instead, and good for the first down. Hurry up offense again, in style this season for St. Joe. A throw to the end zone, wide open, Ryan Martinez. Let's complete the trifecta, but the penalty flag did come in, so let's see what this is.
That's going to be 8 on the field against Hot Springs. Once again, man late getting substituted off, and the Goats.
Illegal substitution defense, 8 men on the field. Penalties declined, result of play, touchdown.
I love that awareness. And actually, it wasn't Trujillo initially. It was Lorenzo Thompson pointing it out and hustling Trujillo. He said, snap it, snap it. And then no matter what happens, let's just get a penalty at least. And then they didn't just get the penalty. They got the touchdown, the wheel route to Martinez. And it is all smiles, all dancing, all fun here in St. Joseph, Missouri.
How about 4 catches, 43 yards, and 2 touchdowns? As that one will go to Demarius Washington. He makes the good catch with 2 touchdowns for Ryan Martinez. That is one heck of a second half, one heck of a third quarter. And the Goats continue to pile it on here.
Bit of a right on the line, if not over it, type celebration there. Demarius Washington following the defensive back up the field and doing the spanking gesture towards him.
I don't think that was in the Key and Peele sketch, so I don't know. I know hip thrust, how many you could get away with, but
nothing came of that one. And then he turned to the crowd. He hit the Randy Moss, faked the mooning towards his own hometown crowd, but they were all into it. So I guess because the crowd was into it, no flag. And regardless whether there had been a flag or not, it wouldn't take away a 39-13 lead that St. Joseph is now built up. They have come out motivated here tonight.
Said after a fairly lackluster second quarter with the interception, the turnover on downs, they did get the touchdown their last drive. They now made it 3 straight scoring drives, perfect 2 for 2 here in the third, a point shy of 40. So they are starting to open up a can here on Wise Guys. Nice throw down the field, off the hands, down to the back of the end zone. Coverage team coming down for St. Joe as he just gets past the 5, avoided the initial hit from Boo Smith, who's been filling in the hole on the throw-off recovery team. As he gets up a little bit slow, does Boo Smith, hands on the hips, hope he's okay.
Yeah, I want to compliment the return effort there from Chapman, making sure that he got out of his end zone, avoided the safety, and then even managed to break a couple of tackles and get the yardage, but it all started because he couldn't handle the throw-off cleanly. So I guess in the end it just comes out in the wash.
Call it a wash, why not? And you're starting to feel the walls kind of close in here if you're Hot Springs. Time is getting short, approaching 4.5 to go here in the third quarter, 39-13. You need points, and you need them fast. Pressure again on Ambrose, and he just fires it into the stands. Unfortunately, not an eligible receiver up there, but a nice souvenir for the fan nonetheless, as he was pressured immediately on the snap.
That's not one that's even going to try to confuse any official as far as where I was intending to throw that one. I mean, that one ended up, if I'm counting correctly, I believe that's row 10. And they're elevated seats here in the Civic Arena.
Yes.
He just turned and chucked that thing.
Once again, might have been Jalen Jordan who was coming hot in his kitchen.
St. Joseph, one of the best blitzing defenses in the league, and they're bringing it again.
Deflected, and it goes incomplete. Malik Wilson again on the pressure that time.
They are incredible at the timing on these blitzes. There's just no answer Hot Springs seems to have.
You could tell it is overwhelming Hot Springs in this offense tonight. It is completely throwing them off their course. From their best offensive performance last game 2 weeks ago, 57 points put up against Ozarks, to so far, as we're now under 4 to go in the third quarter, just being held to 13. 6 total sacks tonight for the St. Joe defense, and a handful more of pressures. More time for Ambrose, down the field for Dilworth, and it's intercepted. Ryan Martinez, it was overthrown. And now Martinez looking for a return. Oh, potential, looked like a horse collar tackle maybe brought Martinez down. He flips the helmet off, and now that pendulum momentum comfortably on the side of St. Joseph.
Yeah, it might have been a bit of a sell job as he kind of turned his head with a hand on his shoulder. I appreciate that. Try to get what you can, but now a flag comes in well afterwards as some Hot Springs players were having words with the officials. This might be the second penalty post-play just that comes from arguing a call or a no call.
We've seen it
goes against Hot Springs.
2 from the players, and we've had 1 on the coach call too. And the tempers have definitely been spilling over for Hot Springs tonight emotionally, and not really keeping it very well together tonight. We mentioned in the first half, there was a brawl over at their bench, some players getting at each other. It took a while to break up, some players and coaches getting in the middle.
After the play, unsportsmanlike, Offense number 1. 15 yards added to the end of the run. First down.
So they give that penalty to Dilworth. Again, the intended receiver on that play as he was well overthrown. And Ryan Martinez, a nice over-the-shoulder catch for the INT. And Dilworth trying to voice his displeasure, maybe feeling like there was some kind of penalty or something that should have been called there, but officials very sternly disagree. And now the offense for St. Joe back out on the field as Trujillo will look to throw, and he does, and he finds his man Boo Smith, who gets taken right into the wall, but not before picking up a first down.
Yeah, Roderick Trapman tried to rip the ball out afterwards, but they'll say Boo Smith had it long enough. This might be the best.
This is looking like a potential number 1 seed in St. Joe as another throw will come to the end zone, and it's batted down incomplete, looking for Washington, but it's knocked down by Zeno Hannibal. Great defensive coverage there for the Wise guys.
Yeah, Washington was trying to plead his case for a bit of a defensive hold. Might want to be careful arguing with officials here tonight. They have shown that they are not about that here on this particular evening.
Very short leash. Trujillo and Wisely will just kind of wrap that one up as he avoids kind of the strip fumble from behind.
Forward progress stopped well before the ball came out. Well, would be a big-time stand if Hot Springs could turn St. Joe away without points here.
And a potential dagger if St. Joe's able to punch it in. What a spin move from Odom. Still able to carry his momentum forward inside the 5. They'll mark him right at the 5.
He's a shifty little spark plug, isn't he?
No doubt about it. Gotta have it here, Trujillo. End zone, and it's incomplete. Had it to Jamal Williams.
Would have walked right in for the touchdown. Second drop of the game for Williams. Does have a catch for a touchdown here tonight, but
Jamal Williams, the tight end, 6'5", 230 out of Central Methodist College, and he is a receiver that he's been active at certain points this season. I believe back in week 3, probably would have been the last time that he was active here. The Goats are in the 3rd game of what has been a 3-game homestand for him over the last month of action, and I don't recall Williams being active for any of the previous 2 home games, so it's been a little bit. He's had 3 targets tonight, 2 drops. He does have that 1 touchdown, but he would have had touchdown number 2 there if he was able to hold on to it. Goats still controlling lead, 39-13. Final seconds ticking away here. Could be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Ambrose from his end zone, pressured over the middle, and it goes incomplete, looking for Dilworth. Tight defense again from Ryan Martinez. This secondary for St. Joe has been zip block tight all evening long, and that is how the 3rd quarter comes to an end. 4s are up in St. Joe, 1 quarter away from back-to-back home wins for the Goats. Trying to get back to 500. They're currently 2-3. They have the advantage over the 3-2 Wise guys. 39. Time is now for Hot Springs. Big deficit here to start in the 4th, and a strike right over the middle. Going out for it is Dilworth. Initially thought he wasn't touched. Tried to get an extra few yards at the end. Clarence Taylor, we're not going to let him get far, but a nice play right out of the gate here for Hot Springs.
Well, he wasn't very involved in the first half, and the offense only had 6 points. Now they're trying to get him more involved here. They've gotten a couple of big plays to Dilworth.
All for about 20-plus yards on both catches. He had the big 44-yard touchdown reception here in the 3rd quarter. So far, the 2nd score. And another sack for St. Joe. Reynolds, Jordan, I mean, it's been this tandem. You throw Malik Wilson in there, too. And the grave digger, Mike Reynolds, making another plot.
He has just been unreal. An absolute game wrecker. He'd get my vote if they're opening up to media votes this year for Defensive Player of the Year. He has basically had games where he's just carried St. Joseph defensively on his back, and tonight's looking like one of them.
6th sack collected tonight for this St. Joe defense. Brown in motion down the field. Ambrose trying to find him, and again, he'll find himself in the grasp of Mike Reynolds.
And it looked like Jalen Jordan was in there again as well. He's been phenomenal blitzing from his linebacker spot. They were, in fact, trying to get Terrell Brown on that deep crosser. It's just not opening up down the field at all. St. Joseph is playing it so well on the back end. None of this motion, none of these rub routes, none of the crossing patterns are confusing the defensive backs for St. Joseph. They are playing it like, I don't know, like they were coached by an ex-defensive back who knows what he's talking about or something. Yeah. They're just ready for everything.
Something about those defensive-minded players out of Wyoming. They just know how to play D. I don't know. They'll go to the ground to Evans as the passing game has not been working, and in quite a long ways to go. Pretty non-negotiable. You're going to be going for on every fourth down here regardless with this deficit and at this point in the game. And this crowd is going to start getting loud here again.
Big opportunity for St. Joseph to maybe buckle down, use this as a potential, almost like a practice, like a coaching moment, work on your fourth down and forever defensive plays.
That's been one of the biggest Achilles heels. It used to be penalties, used to be turnovers, and now it's the long fourth down conversions. Looking for one here, underthrown and intercepted right before he collides into the wall. Nicely done for Jalen Knox.
Obviously, he comes away with the football. It always feels nice to make that interception. That's one, though, that I think he's going to get back to his sideline, and Coach Dorsey Golston is going to have a couple of words with him about, hey, when it's fourth down and 26 and the ball is thrown 30 yards down the field, just swat it. Just smack that one to the ground. I mean, that's as good as a punt, which they don't even have in the Arena League.
Pretty much.
Yeah, maybe, but you know what? He's going to get an interception added to his stats. It's 39-13. If there was a moment where you could afford to maybe get a little bit selfish, that's probably the time.
I mean, you're up 26 points. Might as well. Let's have fun with it. And for Jalen Knox, that is now his third interception in 4 games. He's been a great addition to this defense. As for one of the few times tonight, Goats will be stopped in the backfield on offense, a loss of a pair.
Yeah, don't tell that Hot Springs front three that this game is out of reach. Playing hard on that play, and now stacking the left side of the Goats' offensive line.
Trujillo will immediately roll out and not going to be able to get away. He's wrapped up kind of German suplex backwards by Roderick Chapman, who got right on top of him on the rush. And now Trujillo is a little slow to get up, and he looks to be injured. Oscar Scott, the center, 83, is immediately calling to the training staff to come out of that bench over on the St. Joe side. And this is really the absolute last thing you want to see here. You're up big, fourth quarter, you're a little over 10 minutes to play in the ball game. This one, more than likely, pretty well put away. And now you're seeing your star quarterback, Angelo Trujillo, down on the turf, and he is slow to get up, being 10-2 right now. Again, on the play, Chapman came right in and immediately forced Trujillo to flush out to his left and was on him and kind of almost not quite exactly picked him up and spiked him necessarily, but like a German suplex, kind of brought him backwards, and he hit the ground a little rough, and he pops right up, puts the helmet on, and all indications is that he's going to stay in this game.
I'm not necessarily sure I'm entirely enthused with that decision. Maybe if you're Coach Golston, this might be a time where you need to walk up to your player and say, hey, I love the spirit. I love the Warriors' enthusiasm. Now get off my field right now.
Sometimes you have to protect the player from themselves.
That looks like that's what they're going to do.
And it looks like it's be Ryan Martinez that will take over. Trujillo will trot back down the field, and it looks like his night, more than likely, probably going to be over. He's got a great game for him. Good news, he's off. He's jogging on his own power. Doesn't really have a gimp or a hitch in his giddy-up, so all indications appear that he's going to be okay. But erring on the side of caution is Coach Golston and the rest of this coaching staff of let's let Ryan Martinez take the rest of the quarterback snaps the rest of the way. Might just keep it on the ground. Jarius Burnett, he gets it, takes it to the 9.
Looks like they might just surrender this thing.
Or
kill some clock. Well, no, all right. Love Demarius Washington, feeling it with the
excellent game, particularly on defense. Now Trujillo back in. He's going to throw down the field, looking for Washington. He'll soar in.
I mean, what reason doesn't Washington have to be having all kinds of fun? That's going to be an offside against Hot Springs, the flag on the field. The middle rusher came through a bit early. They decided it wasn't encroachment and let the play go.
Sides, defense, that penalty decline, touchdown.
And we were just talking about Demarius Washington, the newcomer to the team, the Dallas, Texas product. And man, he is just loving life here as a St. Joseph Goat.
Oh, no doubt about it. "73 yards and 2 touchdowns this evening for Demarius Washington. Goat's going to go for 2. Trujillo on the rollout to the end zone. Dangerous pass, and it will go incomplete. And now again pushing and shoving, and it's Washington chatting it up. I can't tell if that was 22, Jamin Williams, or Jordan Smith, number 21. Didn't quite exactly catch a number, but regardless, extracurriculars after the play was done, another flag is thrown. And we'll see how they sort this one out. So Jamin Williams, number 22, that's going to be, appears to be the culprit for Hot Springs. Official about to address the crowd.
After the play, we have a foul on both teams. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 4, St. Joe. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 22, Wise Guys. Those penalties offset. That is their first unsportsmanlike conduct player for both players.
Heads up, quick with the eyes there, Aaron, catching 22. In fact, was Jamin Williams. I kind of figured they were going to be going that way, seeing how this game has gotten a little chippier towards the end of saying we're going to assess offsetting penalties. Both of you get a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again. Let's get this game going the rest of the way. Conclude the final 9 minutes, 55 seconds without any brawls or any extracurriculars of the sort going on after. So one tack to Washington, the other tack to Williams. One more for either one. They would be ejected from the remainder of this game. Goats continue to build on this lead now, 45-13. As Thompson, the southpaw, fires it in through the air and out of the end zone. On the return, Smith. Again, this has been textbook tonight by this throw-off recovery team for St. Joe. They've been getting down the field and not really allowing the big play or the big return to give this Hot Springs team any kind of momentum.
I gotta say, both sides have played some really spectacular special teams here today. Not necessarily a huge point of emphasis in arena football that often, but we got some coaching tape on display here tonight from both of these coverage units. We haven't seen a great deal in the way of missed tackles from either side.
Really, the only thing that we're missing this game is a defensive touchdown for St. Joe. That's really, I mean, that's about it. Outside of that, they have been spectacular nearly across the entire board as another flag is going to come in after that play. Where it currently stands as a loss, and the tackle for Jalen Jordan.
We may have officially reached that point in proceedings. We're in a 45-13 routing. Might be a bit
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 8, 15 yards, first down.
They're going to get Jordan with the face mask penalty.
Yeah, so never mind. It wasn't extracurriculars or any pushing and shoving. It was just your standard run-of-the-mill misplaced hand on a tackle.
Of course, unintentional, of course, for Jordan. That tends to happen. It's a lot easier to kind of make it happen when you're wrapping up for a tackle than some might think, to accidentally get up there in the face mask and you get a little grip, that hook of the finger, flag comes out every time. Free 15 for the Wise Guys. They go to Terrell Brown, able to break a tackle, and that ball is punched out. Little peanut punch for my fellow Chicago Bear fan on the call there, and after all of that, it'll be recovered by Hot Springs.
So a gain of 0 yards, ultimately.
When it's all said and done, that's it.
I appreciated the use of fellow Bears fan. I don't know if you've converted recently.
I don't know why I said fellow Bears fan, but my resident Bears fan, I always look over to you.
It's on record now, Dylan, so there will be expectations placed upon you.
You know what? I will root for a Chiefs-Bears Super Bowl. I'm okay with that. I'll take that matchup. I'm good with it. Big fan of Charles Tillman, though. That's why. There you go.
He's a likable guy.
Yeah. Chaotic play for no yards. Now a shot down the field, and it goes out of play. Again, intended for Terrell Brown.
Little known fact nowadays, Charles Tillman working for the CIA.
Is that so?
Yes, he is a counterterrorism division, the ex-Chicago Bears cornerback. Peanut punching foreign and domestic threats these days.
That's awesome. 3rd down and 10. Ambrose pressured again. He can't run. He got out of the running lane and not past the line of scrimmage. Wrapped up by Jalen Jordan and might have tweaked his ankle as he was being brought down.
I would be very careful with my quarterbacks going forward if I were either of these teams. The competitive nature in you wants to just play to the end, and I understand and even respect that ideology. But yeah, there you see Ambrose, limping as he got over the wall and toward the sideline. So now on 4th down and 12, backup quarterback comes in. It looks like that's going to be Jordis Smith.
Yep. They put him in the backfield. Maybe it's going to be Troy Evans that'll take the snap. Evans, the traditional running back, and he's just going to try to run it up the middle. 4th down play, and I mean, at this point, it's just kind of you can't surrender the ball, but you don't really want to put your backup quarterback in any jeopardy with how fierce this pass rush has been for St. Joe, so it's another turnover on downs.
So the Goats now with an opportunity to extend this thing even further, and it is Trujillo coming back out at quarterback.
6 total turnover on down forced tonight. 7th, actually. 7th total turnover on down forced tonight by the St. Joe defense. Again, I'm kind of in the same boat with you. We're sitting here now, Sweet Caroline breaking out here inside the Civic Arena. 45-13, just under 6 minutes to go, and Trujillo still in the ball game and still taking shots, but this one is going to go too long and incomplete. I'm in the same boat as you. I'm still really surprised that they're keeping Trujillo in this game right now.
I found the open security guard with that last pass. But yeah, I don't really know what the benefits of it would be at this point with 5.5 minutes left to go. He's already had an injury scare. I mean, they don't have a tremendously deep-filled roster in the Arena League.
Nice pitch and catch there to Jamal Williams. Needed 10, got 11 on the yak.
Obviously just a 17-man active roster, so you don't have a great deal of backup options to put in for everybody, but I mean, someone that's already almost tweaked something, I maybe might make an exception and find something well, that's going to be illegal.
Did he get past the line of scrimmage while he was still in the running lane? And again, he takes a shot there towards the end.
Well, they're not calling anything, so I guess he maybe there was an optical illusion on my end. He must have just been inside those hash marks.
So we're watching this as the drive. They're going away from you and I here in the Civic Arena. As they try to go on the ground again to Odom, and they're going to lose 2 or 3 on the play. We've seen it with Hot Springs, the first sign of any injury or slight tweak from their quarterback, Jordan Ambrose. They immediately took him out of the game. For St. Joe, it was Trujillo. He was out for a play. They put him right back in. He hit Washington for a big touchdown, and now he's here on this drive as Ryan Martinez can't quite bring in the one-handed touchdown.
Just trying to get the fade route going there. Well, at least they are trying to do that. It's a lot of quick hitters here for Trujillo on this drive, so at the very least trying to protect him in that way.
So the game already pretty well put in hand, and just looking for that real final nail in the coffin and put the route with St. Joe. Still plenty left on the table. As a throw to the end zone, and it's going to be caught by Ryan Martinez, and I was getting ready to say interception. It looked pretty 50-50 between him and Jamin Williams, but Ryan Martinez, he has come alive here in the second half.
That almost looked like an interception by Ryan Martinez, like he jumped the route. That looked like it was thrown directly to a Wise Guys defender, and Martinez simply made a play on the ball.
Unbelievable.
The Goats are not done just yet. And we got some scoreboard watching here. Ozark and Iowa in a 6-point contest. That's going to have a lot to do with who's going to get that 2 seed and a first-round bye, one might think, especially with Duluth currently leading by multiple possessions.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on there. Conversion no good. So fit in with them, new head coach, new regime this year, and They were one of the early season darlings, as this one will bounce and go out of the back of the end zone for the touchback. And now, I mean, we know every time whenever St. Joe and Iowa, when they get together, off just the last two matchups, the one in the postseason, the one in the regular season, the lone regular season matchup this season, it's spectacular, and it literally comes down to the final play. So if that's a first round matchup, I mean, look out, man. It's got the caliber of a championship game, but happening within the first round of the playoffs, that would be insane. First and 10 at the 5 off the throw off as Ambrose will be right back into the game. He throws and it goes way over the head of Dilworth, and Martinez trying to jump in and get the interception, but again, it's just a little high, and another souvenir for one of those fans in the nearby suites.
Martinez definitely feeling it right now. He was looking for back-to-back plays from scrimmage with a touchdown.
The clock continues to run, approaching 3 minutes to go in the ball game as some fans starting to make their way out here in the Civic Arena, feeling confident their hometown Goats have the win on lockdown, bolstering their chances of being back here in the first weekend of August for a home playoff matchup in the first round. Again to Dilworth, and again Ryan Martinez right there to bring him down.
And remember, if the Ozarks hold on against Iowa and St. Joseph wins this one, they're only half a game back of Ozarks for the 2 seed. So it might not be the first weekend in August. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's still on the table here for these St. Joe Goats after the dreadful start to get themselves back into a position.
I mean, you want to know how close, how competitive the league has been, is that either of these teams here, obviously with St. Joe being well ahead, but coming into tonight, before throw-off was underway, both teams had a pretty good chance of winning.
Timeout, wise guys.
It was a matter of either or.
And I sure do bring in obscure Chicago sports facts for the fine, fine people of both Hot Springs, Arkansas, and St. Joseph, Missouri.
Oh, how about that?
There's
that defensive touchdown. Yes, sir.
You wanted one, Dylan. You got one. They're going to review whether that was a forward pass, and they're going to say touchdown.
Malik Wilson on the recovery. It has been that kind of night, and now everyone's going to swag surf.
So we talked about St. Joseph. You know they're going to put up points. You're going to have to find a way to score more than you've scored at any point all year if you were Hot Springs. And instead, at the moment, it's looking like it's the other direction right now. We've got a season low unless they can find a way to put at least 2 more touchdowns on the board for the Hot Springs Wise Guys. 13 points, not just their own personal season low. That would be the season low points scored for any team this season.
They're going to go for the conversion here. It's in the hands of Boo. He can throw it, and it hits the back bleachers and comes down and goes incomplete. Boo trying to say it's live off the wall, but it's just a little bit too high to officially be off the live wall. So it stays right now just 57 points, 13 compared to all that's been put up for the Wise Guys. And you mentioned it, Aaron, when St. Joe had started and they were at that 1-3 mark of, through the first 4 weeks. So we got the return looming up here. The best throw-off return of the night. Some broken tackles. How about this return here for Roderick Chapman? He takes it near midfield, and now flags will come in on the near side, so we'll put my thought on pause here for a little bit. Jarius Burnett losing his helmet. It was in the suite. He daps up some of the Goats fans.
Yeah, they certainly were going to take his side on that one.
Yeah.
His helmet pops off.
So curious to see how they close out the regular season, but right now, I mean, they look as hot as a team as any here at this point in the season in the Arena League. Chapman on the design run up the middle. A herd of Goats there to wrap him up and drive him backwards, and again, some extra pushing and shoving. The officials trying to keep this game in order.
I would definitely, if I was anyone on the coaching staff for St. Joseph right now, in my guys' ears telling them, don't get pulled into it.
No doubt.
Nobody get disqualified going into next week when we have to play these guys again.
Yeah, that's it.
Hot Springs, they're going to be hotheads right now. They're down by 1 billion. They're in enemy territory listening to this crowd. Don't get sucked in. Finish out the game. Stay healthy. Stay eligible for next week. and let's go earn ourselves a home playoff game.
We're just ticking down the final few plays. Again, it's Chapman on the run, and he picks up about 2 or 3. And this is going to be something to keep in mind, too. The way the tempers are flaring at the end of this game, you know they're probably going to pick right up at the start of next week's game. And I would imagine that officiating crew, they're probably going to go to the locker rooms before and be like, hey, fellas, just to let you know, basically kind of like umpires giving out warnings before the game in an MLB game as to we're not going to be throwing at hitters or anything. We're not going to be coming out in this game. We're not going to have the extracurricular pushing and shoving hands into the face, nothing like that. So I'll be curious to see how that works out, as it looks like they're just going to let the rest of this clock run out, and that's going to do it here. Again, the regular season capped off with a bang for St. Joe. Final score, Goats 57, Wise Guys 13.
Fly away. It's the first time of today.